Picture yourself standing in a waterlogged trench in the Somme Valley. 1916. The air tastes of cordite and damp earth. Above you, shells scream through grey skies, and all around, the landscape has been transformed into a moonscape of craters and shattered wood. In this hell, your only shield against oblivion is a thin steel helmet, a technological marvel born from desperation. The story of personal protection is not one of laboratories and patents alone, but of mud-caked soldiers who became the unwitting pioneers of survival technology. From those rudimentary steel bowls to today's powered exoskeletons, every advancement in protective gear carries within it the DNA of battlefield innovation and the eternal human drive to survive the unsurvivable. The Great War began with men charging into machine gun fire, wearing nothing more than cloth caps and the hubris of outdated military doctrine. Within months, field hospitals overflowed with devastating head injuries from shrapnel, those jagged fragments of exploding shells that turned the air itself into a weapon. French soldiers, desperate and ingenious, began placing metal cooking pots and scavenged metal plates inside their kepis. This crude improvisation caught the attention of military command, and by 1915 the iconic Adrian helmet emerged, followed by the British Brodie and German Stahlhelm. These weren't merely helmets, they were the first acknowledgement that industrial warfare demanded industrial protection. Soldiers quickly learned that survival meant adaptation. They layered sandbags around their positions, crafted makeshift shields from salvaged metal, and understood intuitively what modern materials science would later prove, that angled surfaces deflect force better than flat ones. Beyond helmets, the trenches became testing grounds for every conceivable form of protection and survival technique. Gas warfare introduced a new nightmare, and soldiers learned to recognize the subtle signs: a sweet smell on the wind, birds falling silent, a yellow-green mist creeping across no man's land. The earliest gas masks were nothing more than cloth soaked in urine held over the face, a desperate chemical countermeasure that actually worked because the ammonia neutralized chlorine gas. This evolved into the box respirators that made men look like insects but kept them breathing. The ingenuity extended to every aspect of survival. Soldiers constructed elaborate dugouts reinforced with timber, salvaged from destroyed buildings, creating underground cities, complete with ventilation systems made from periscope tubes and hand-pumped bellows. They learned the ancient art of reading landscapes, where water might collect in shell craters, which sections of trench received the most sunlight for drying clothes, how to identify edible plants growing in the devastated earth between the lines. What those soldiers discovered through trial and terrible error forms the foundation of everything we understand about personal protection today. Their steel helmets evolved into Kevlar and carbon fiber. Their gas masks became the CBRN protective systems used by modern militaries. Their understanding of layered defense, sandbags, steel, distance, and concealment working together is reflected in how we design everything from body armor to vehicle protection. The powered exoskeletons being tested today are simply the mechanical fulfillment of what every soldier burdened with 80 pounds of gear through sucking mud already knew: that human endurance has limits, and survival demands we augment our capabilities. The trench taught us that protection isn't about invulnerability. It's about buying time, maintaining function, and living to fight another day. These lessons aren't museum pieces. They're living knowledge that speaks directly to anyone who values preparedness and self-reliance. Every time you check your gear, layer your defenses, or plan for contingencies, you're following in the footsteps of those soldiers who turned survival into an art form. Subscribe to Fieldcraft Chronicles and join us as we continue exploring the hard-won wisdom of history's survivors. Share this with those who understand that the best protection is knowledge and that true resilience is built one lesson at a time.